Hey there party people, welcome back to my channel. I'm that Scottish nerd, and if you're interested in Pokemon trading card game videos or the occasional gaming video, be sure to subscribe to my channel down below, as it really helps me out and it means that you can see my future videos as I upload multiple times a week. Now in today's video we're going to be breaking down the best Mad Party deck and having some battles with it. Of course, being the best, it is subjective and purely my opinion. You're welcome to disagree with me down in the comments below. But let's go ahead and get into this deck profile and see what it's all about. Of course, with any Mad Party deck, if you're not familiar, we're going to have 16 copies of the Mad Party attack. That comes in the form of Bunnelby here. We also have Poltegeist, Mr. Rhyme, and Dedenne. All of these Pokemon have the Mad Party attack, which does 20 damage for each of our Pokemon in the discard pile with this Mad Party attack. Now, as you'll see in our energy, we're not able to attack with all of these Pokemon however, so Dedenne here with its Psychic and double colorless attack cost is too expensive to use, and Mr. Rhyme is a stage 1 Pokemon with a similar attack cost, so we choose not to attack with these, and instead we simply attack with Bunnelby here for 2 colorless energy, so we're able to use twin energy in order to pay the attack cost, and since it's a basic Pokemon, it's very easy for us to get into play. We also have Poltegeist here, which it is a stage 1 Pokemon, so it takes a little bit extra time to set up, but it allows us to both use twin energy and triple acceleration energy. It also has this great ability here called T-Break, which combos very nicely with the deck in itself, as you're able to discard a Pokemon from your hand with the Mad Party attack, so it's able to power up the attack itself, and for that you're able to draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. This is some great draw if you have a couple of Poltegeist set up, as well as getting more Mad Party Pokemon into the discard pile. So we have maxed out copies of each of those Mad Party Pokemon. We do only have 3 copies of the Sinistea here. Its attack isn't particularly useful, but it could be used in a pinch to put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon if you're really struggling to get a knockout. But we only have 3 copies as we don't typically attack with all 4 of our Poltegeist, so there's no need to have 4 copies of Sinistea. We also have a couple of supporting Pokemon here in the form of Mew. We have this Mew with Bench Barrier in order to prevent all damage done to our benched Pokemon. This is really great against Pikarom, as it's able to protect our bench against that Tag Bolt GX attack, which they'll often try to use to take a couple of easy prizes, especially if we have to put down some of our EX or GX Pokemon. Speaking of those, we have Dedenne GX in the deck here. This allows us to discard our hand and draw 6 cards, so if we have a bunch of Mad Party Pokemon in our hand, we can get rid of those into the discard pile. It is a liability though on our bench, so you do have to be careful when you play it and what decks you play it against. In addition to that, we have Oricorio GX here. Its ability Dance of Tribute allows us to draw 3 cards from the top of our deck after our Pokemon was knocked out last turn. So especially against other non-GX or multi-prize decks, things like Blacephalon for example, you're going to be able to use Dance of Tribute to draw some additional cards from the top of your deck and ensure that you've always got a large hand size, as you'll see. And to supplement those, we also have a copy of Oranguru here with Primate Wisdom, switching a card from your hand with the one on top of your deck. This allows you to protect maybe an energy or any kind of other useful cards like Boss's Order. If you're going to use a way of discarding like Professor's Research or Dedenne, Primate Wisdom allows you to keep one of those cards safe on the top of your deck. And we also have this Mewtwo. You don't typically see this in Mad Party, but I do like it in the deck, as it allows you to put a supporter card from your discard on top of your deck, also comboing with that Primate Wisdom we just went over. And since we only have 2 copies of Boss's Order in the deck, you can use this ability to put Boss's Orders on the top of your deck and draw into it in the next turn or with Primate Wisdom to get a nice knockout. As mentioned, we have 2 copies of Boss's Orders, as well as 4 copies of Professor's Research and 3 copies of Roxy. So Roxy here allows you to discard up to 2 Pokemon that aren't GX or EX, and for each of those you get to draw 3 cards. So if we discard 2 Mad Party Pokemon, we're able to draw 6 cards, and this really sets up nicely for the following turn, because then we can hopefully draw into a bunch more Mad Party Pokemon, which we will then discard with Professor's Research. As far as consistency, we have maxed out copies of Evolution Incense, Great Ball and Quick Ball, so that we can ensure we have lots of search and ways to find Pokemon, as well as a copy of Ordinary Rod if we want to recycle perhaps a couple of Bunnelby, or if we have to discard some Poltergeist that we discard early on, then we can use this to recycle those. We also have a copy of Tool Scrapper. Things like Big Charm can be really problematic for this deck because we are typically taking 2-hit knockouts on things like VMAXs or tag teams, so getting rid of Big Charms or any other tools that my opponent could be using, things like Air Balloon, anything at all, Tool Scrapper comes in great for that. Unfortunately, we don't have space in the deck for Stadium cards. That's the only card that I would really love to find a space for in this build, but we do have some tools here to have some free movement. We have Air Balloon on things like Dedenne or Oranguru. This is great for free retreat, and we also have a couple copies of Lucky Egg. I really like Lucky Egg in here because if you go down to a low hand size, you can just put this on your active Pokemon and your opponent's going to be forced to take that knockout, and you're going to get 7 cards as a result. So it's a really interesting and useful card. I've been really enjoying it in the deck, but you can try it out for yourselves and let me know your thoughts. Certainly it could be caught for a Stadium card, but there's just not really any Stadium cards that you want in the deck other than perhaps Chaotic Swell to counter other Stadiums. And finishing it off for energy, as I mentioned, we have 4 copies of Triple Acceleration as well as 4 Twin Energy to get those easy 1 energy or 1 attachments for multiple energy on our Pokemon, and be able to start swinging with Mad Party nice and early, even if we're just doing a little bit of chip damage, and then getting a big swing for over 200 damage on the following turn to get that knockout, which is a very typical game plan for this deck. Hopefully that we can show that off in the couple of games that we have coming up here. If you enjoy this video at any point, be sure to give it a like down below, as it really helps out me and the channel. And let's get into some battles here. Alrighty, we have a Oranguru to start off our first match here. We are up against an Eternatus deck, as my opponent got a mulligan, but we do see the Eternatus here. So we'll most likely be trying to get a couple of cheeky knockouts on things like Crobat if we can use Boss's Orders, but we will have to be swinging twice into the Eternatus if we want to be knocking out the VMAX. And this hand is a little bit problematic, as we do have 2 energy in our hand as well as the Ordinary Rod, and I unfortunately can't use Primate Wisdom to save all of them as much as I would like to. So I think our best bet here is to use a Quick Ball to get a Bunnelby and put an energy onto that, and then use Primate Wisdom to save the other energy here. We'll also use Quick Ball to discard this Poltergeist. We can get another Mad Party Pokemon into our hand, and then use the Dedenne to discard those and draw some cards here. So we'll use Primate Wisdom, put the energy back on top of the deck, and we draw into an additional energy anyway. So that is pretty unfortunate that we're still going to be losing an energy no matter what here, but hopefully we can draw into some more useful things. Looks like we get a whole load of energy once again, and we really don't want to use Professor's Research here, as that's going to cause us more problems than anything else. We will put down the Sinistea, as we want to evolve into that pretty quickly, but we'll have to pass it over to my opponent, so not a great start for Mad Party. You do get these problematic starts a lot of the time, which is one of the main concerns with the deck, but once you can get going, then you can often get some pretty good starts that lead you into doing a lot of damage very early on. So we see my opponent has the VMAX as well as a Professor's Research, and they get that Dark City so that they can get free retreat. Looks like they're also playing the kind of dark box build with this Hoopa rather than Zigzagoons, but we could still see Zigzagoons coming down. That is a main difficulty for my party as well, since if they play down 4 Zigzagoons they can actually take out things like Bunnelby and Sinisty. But the way that my opponent's filling up their bench here, it doesn't look like they're going to be playing any Zigzagoons, just more of a box style deck with a variety of different dark type Pokemon. So we see here they have the Sableye V as well, and my opponent is just powering up their Pokemon in the back. They're looking to use that Eternatus VMAX, and we get into a Great Ball here. See what we can get into. We get a Dedenne or Bunnelby, neither of which are particularly useful at the moment, so we'll just take the Dedenne. We could attach an energy in the hopes that we can protect the other one so that we're only losing 1 energy. That does seem reasonable. So let's go ahead and attach an energy to the Sinisty. We can put in this Oricorio, that seems fine, and we'll use Primate Wisdom to put the Twin Energy on the top of our deck. We get into a Lucky Egg, which is useful. We'll put that on our Bunnelby, and then use Professor's Research to discard our hand and draw 7 cards. We do know, of course, we break out in the Twin Energy. We get into an Evolution Incense, which we can use to get a Poltergeist here, as well as using T-Break, the ability to discard that Mr. Rhyme and draw 2 more cards. Let's see what we get into. We get a Dedenne as well as a Great Ball. So let's make use of this Great Ball now. And we don't have a lot going on, so I think our best bet is to take this Sinisty so that we can get another Poltergeist down. We also missed our Air Balloon, so we won't be able to get any damage off just yet, so we'll have to pass it over to my opponent once again. We do have some good stuff to work with on the following turn, however, since we have Boss's Order as well as Roxy, so we can discard both of these Pokemon here and get an additional 40 damage in the discard pile. We see a Marnie from my opponent, shuffling our hands, putting them on the bottom of our deck, and drawing 5 cards. Totally fine with that, as we'll get some fresh cards to work with. We get into our Air Balloon, as well as a Poltergeist and Mr. Rhyme, so that we can use both of those to draw 2 cards, as well as the Evolution Incense to get an additional Pokemon that we can use with our second T-Break ability. We'll have to see if my opponent gets a knockout here. That would be pretty unfortunate, as our Oranguru is putting in some serious work for us, saving some good cards for us. But it just looks like a retreat from my opponent, and they had the energy on Eternatus, but they've chosen to retreat into Hoopa and not attack for some reason. It looks like they're just trying to stall perhaps. So we'll use Evolution Incense. This also resets the Marnie, which is good, but it looks like we're actually out of Evolution Pokemon, unfortunately, which I thought we still had 1 left in the deck, so that is a bit unfortunate. We will evolve into the Poltergeist here, and we can at least make use of 1 T-Break, discarding the Mr. Rhyme, and we don't have anything else to work with other than the Professor's Research, so we will have to go with that. I'll attach the Air Balloon and use Professor's Research to discard both of these, as they won't be useful in this matchup. We don't need energy since we already have some on the board, and we can make use of the second T-Break since we got into this Dedenne here. I'll make use of Great Ball since we can thin the deck, hopefully, but we don't get any more Pokemon there. We'll T-Break this Dedenne, see what we draw into, some more energy and a Lucky Egg. So I shall Primate Wisdom. I think the best bet is putting the energy on top, just in case my opponent has another Marnie for us. We get into a Mewtwo, that's fine, that's pretty useful. And we'll just retreat here. I think going in with the Poltergeist is most likely the best option, since we want to make use of that lucky egg if possible. So we'll get the knockout, 120 damage on the Hoopa, and get the first prize card of the game. We don't really mind taking a knockout on the Hoopa, since we're going to have to take 3 prizes on a VMAX. That'll put us down to 2 prize cards remaining, and we can always use boss's orders to bring up something like a Crobat or that Sableye, and take a knockout on one of those for the last 2 prize cards. So we do have a route here to victory, but we're going to have to take a knockout on the VMAX over 2 turns, since we're not doing enough damage. Even if you discard all of your Pokemon that have Mad Party, get 15 in the discard because you still need 1 to attack with, that would only be a total of 300 damage. So no matter which way you do it, you do have to get a 2 attack in on a VMAX to get the knockout. So we'll promote the Bunnelby here. We are going to be attacking with it, so we might as well put it up now. My opponent only has 1 card in their hand, so I think we're going to be attacking into this VMAX now while we have the chance, and since we have boss's orders, we might as well keep this hand as it is. Don't really want to get rid of anything either, and doing 120 is fine because we can push the following turn to get the rest of the knockout that we need. We can make use of Oricoreo's Dance of Tributes, since my opponent took a knockout on that last turn. We'll get rid of this Evolution Incense, since we know there's nothing there now. There's a Dedenne that we can get with the Quick Ball, so we can make use of that at least. And Quick Ball away something. Let's just get rid of the Professor's Research, we don't really need that at the moment. Get that Dedenne and use T-Break to get rid of it. That'll give us an additional 20 damage, as well as the Poltergeist that they knocked out the previous turn is an additional 40, so we should be swinging for 160 now. We can also use Primate Wisdom, so we'll put the energy on top of our deck so that we're guaranteed that energy in case my opponent uses Marnie once again. And I don't really feel the need to put anything else down at the moment, our hand's looking pretty good. So we'll use Mad Party here on Bunnelby, 160 damage going into my opponent. It's going to be on them. If they want to take the knockout, then we're going to be able to respond and get the knockout on this Eternatus VMAX. Looks like they're attaching energy onto the Hoopa, so they're going in and trying to trade 1 prizers for 1 prizers here. We can promote the Oranguru since it has the air balloon, it'll give us free retreat. Also benching this Bunnelby so that we have an additional attacker down, seems like a good idea here. Again, we can use this Great Ball just to thin the deck as much as possible. We can also get rid of the Bunnelby since we had one in the deck. I think we're going to have enough attackers at this point to close out the game. So we'll use T-Break to discard that and draw some additional cards, just thinning out the deck as much as possible so that if my opponent uses Marnie, we're going to be drawing as optimally as possible. Don't want to use Dance of Tributes though, because we would actually deck out if we do that, so you do have to be careful that you don't go overboard. But I will go with the retreat here, go into Bunnelby, attach our Twin Energy, and we can use Boss's Orders on that VMAX to bring it up and get the knockout here. Just having a look if we want to Primate Wisdom, but there's honestly not anything that I would want off the Primate Wisdom, so we'll just leave it as it is, use my party and get the knockout here. 200 damage is plenty since we already hit it. Getting 3 prize cards, getting Mr. Rhyme, Triple Acceleration is good pickup, and our other Triple Acceleration that we prized. So my opponent could retreat here once again and go into the Hoopa, but if they do that, we have Boss's Orders in hand. That will allow us to close out the game on a 2 prize Pokemon such as Crobat or the Sableye that they benched. So you see that Eternatus really struggles against Mad Party as they do have to bench so many multi-prize Pokemon. Even when they're using 1 prizers in this fashion such as the Hoopa, we're able to get some nice easy knockouts on their Pokemon. So we can just go here with the Triple Acceleration, use Boss's Orders to bring up a Crobat, and that'll be game for Mad Party, picking up our first victory of the day, being able to do some nice amounts of damage on alternative VMAX, even with prizing a bunch of useful Pokemon. Let's get into our next game. Kicking off our second match here, we've opted to go first since we won the coin flip. We do have a bunch of energy in our hand, which is a bit unfortunate, and we're going to have to quick ball away this Poltergeist. I think opting for the Primate Wisdom is going to be our best call so that we can try and protect some of this energy and get into some better draws here. So I'm going to Primate Wisdom, put a Twin Energy back on top of the deck, and then Evolution Incense to shuffle up the deck so that we're not getting that energy back the following turn. And getting this Mr. Rhyme is fine. We'll put down the Bunnelby and pass it over to my opponent. Hopefully we can get a better top deck, and we do at least have the Bunnelby, so we can always attach an energy and start attacking. My opponent here has the Sobble, so they're obviously playing some sort of Inteleon deck, or they're playing some sort of other evolution deck and using the Inteleon, as it has a good ability which allows you to search your deck for item cards. I believe it's just item cards, it could also be trainer cards in general, but either way it's a good supporting Pokemon, and I was right, as they are playing other Pokemon here. They have the Charmander, so they're playing a Charizard based deck. Be interesting to see if they're playing the new Charizard. It looks like it most likely will be, since they have the Leon here, which does an additional 30 damage when you play it. But with the Charizard deck, they try to get all of their Leon into the discard pile, as it does more damage for a Leon that you have in the discard pile, so up to 300 damage, as you can only play 4 Leon of course. We draw into another Dedenne here, I believe, so we will have to use Primate Wisdom. Once again we'll put the triple acceleration energy on the top of our deck, and we get into a Great Ball. Hopefully we can get a Dedenne here. We don't, so we'll just have to settle for the Oricorio of our own, just like my opponent, and once again pass it over to my opponent. So it's just a case of seeing who can get set up first. My opponent will be taking a couple of turns here to try and get their Pokemon evolved. We do get the Rare Candy Charizard, and with that they have the Battle Sense ability, which allows them to look at the top 3 cards of their deck, pick one and discard the other 2. That's certainly going to allow them to draw through their deck a lot quicker and get the cards that they need. They get the Evolution Incense here into a Drizzile, and they have the ability to go and get a trainer card out of the deck, as I mentioned earlier. Of course they can also start using it to evolve into the Inteleon, since the Drizzile just allows you to get a single card, but the Inteleon allows you to get 2 cards. However, my opponent is stuck with a very small hand at the moment. They grab the Giant Hearth from the Drizzile, and they'll be looking to attach energy onto the Charizard, but they don't choose to play down the Giant Hearth, which is very interesting, because they could have gotten an energy attachment onto the Charizard there. But they've opted not to, so we'll use our Primate Wisdom to put the Twin Energy back on top of our deck, and we once again don't draw into anything particularly useful. So we'll have a look here. We have a 1 retreat cost on Dedenne. We could make use of that to retreat it, since we know we're getting an energy on this following turn, but we're also only doing a total of 20 damage with 1 Mad Party in the discard pile. So I think if we attach an energy here and put a Lucky Egg onto our active, then as soon as my opponent takes a knockout on this active Dedenne, we'll be able to draw a bunch of cards, and just keeping our hand size as low as possible is really going to be good for us. They play down the Giant Hearth now, discarding a Charizard to get 2 energy, and we can also make use of Giant Hearth ourselves. While we don't play any fire energy, we can use its first effect to discard a card and make use of that to discard our Mad Party Pokemon. They're able to use a Welder here to get both of the fire energy that they need onto this Charizard, draw some additional cards, as well as using Battle Sense, and they get the Inteleon here that I mentioned, being able to get 2 cards, their trainer cards, from their deck, put them into their hand. They get a Welder as well as a Scoop Up Net, so it's a very interesting combination, as they're able to Scoop Up Net that Inteleon and start reusing it in these following turns. very interesting deck combination for sure. Certainly one that I'll need to check out myself at some point if you guys want to see a video on that. So really my opponent is trying to get a knockout here. They go for the quick ball, so they're going to be wanting to set up more Charizards if they can, but they are also discarding a bunch of Charizards. I believe there's 2 now in their discard pile. Yep, there's 2, as well as a Sobble. So they're going to want to use an Ordinary Rod at some point. They get the Ordinary Rod right as they mention it, as well as already having one in there, so they've gone through a lot of resources already with this Battle Sense combo. But they do miss the attack once again, having to promote that Charmander, and we can make use of the Giant Hearth if we want to, but I think we're going to go with the Primate Wisdom first, put the Twin Energy back on top of our deck. We get a Dedenne, so that's excellent. We can make use of the Dedenne here, discard our hand, which was all Mad Party Pokemon, draw 6 cards, and we can still make use of the Giant Hearth if we want to. We don't unfortunately get into any supporters or an air balloon, so we'll just use the Giant Hearth and discard the Mr. Rhyme. That'll get an additional Pokemon into the discard pile. And we can have a look and see how many we have now. We have 2 Mr. Rhyme, 2 Poltergeist, and a Dedenne. That's equivalent to 100 damage, which is plenty to knock out this Charmander. So we certainly could go and do that, and if we do so, my opponent's going to get a return knockout with their Charizard, but it would at least give us a prize card to work with. And if we put down this Bunnelby, then hopefully we can get into a second Twin Energy. So let's go for that. It's a little bit aggressive, but we really want to start taking prize cards here so that we can hopefully get into a supporter card. So we take the first knockout, we get into a Quick Ball. My opponent promotes the Charizard, so they will be looking to get the knockouts. They already have the knockout without even having any Leon in their discard pile. They also attach a Big Charm, so they now have a total of 200 HP. We could get a Tool Scrapper, or we could just discard more Mad Party Pokemon to get up to that 200 damage mark. But at least we have the Oricorio here. That's going to allow us to draw a bunch of cards, as well as having this Dedenne. We could promote that and allow them to take the knockout on it so that we can draw some cards from the Lucky Egg. Also, with my opponent having put down an Oricorio of their own, we could look to use Boss's Orders at some point late in the game so that we can pick up 2 prize cards on that. My opponent put down another Sobble so that they can try and evolve into another Inteleon, but they don't get another Charmander into play. So if we are able to get enough Mad Party Pokemon in the discard pile this turn, then we are going to have my opponent on the back foot, as they don't have another Charizard ready to go anytime soon. So I think that putting up our Bunnelby here could be the best bet in the hopes that we get energy. Alternatively, we could be looking for an air balloon if we promote something else, but going for the Bunnelby here, trying to be as aggressive as possible, and also making use of a Quick Ball. But we do get the Sinistea here, which is exactly what I was going to be looking for. Also Quick Ball away this Dedenne so that we can grab something else. We'll grab another Dedenne and then make use of our Oricorio to draw 3 cards. Hopefully getting a supporter card. Still no supporter card, but we can Giant Hearth, get rid of the Dedenne and shuffle up our deck. Nothing to grab since we don't play Fire Energy, and Primate Wisdom, put the Triple Acceleration back on top, and we get an Air Balloon, so we can at least Air Balloon, retreat into our Dedenne, and force my opponent to take a knockout on a Pokemon with Lucky Egg, so that we can draw until we have 7 cards in our hand. It is only drawing us 3 cards, but it's 3 cards, then our top deck for our turn, as well as another 3 cards from Oricorio. But my opponent has the Boss's Orders that's going to bring up our Oricorio and easily take the knockout on that, really limiting what we have as options since they're avoiding the Lucky Egg, and now we don't have Oricorio at our disposal. But once again, that's all my opponent did, so they don't have the Charmander available to them. We could play down a Mewtwo, but that's not going to allow us to get a supporter since we don't have one in the discard pile. So our only option here is to put down this Poltergeist, and hopefully we can draw into a Math Party Pokemon or a supporter card with this Primate Wisdom. We get neither, we get a Quick Ball, so we'll use the Quick Ball to discard the Mew, and we'll grab a Mad Partier. We only have Bunnelby available to us, so we'll have to take that, and we'll use T-Break to discard it, drawing 2 cards. We'll get a Tool Scrapper as well as a Roxy. We will have to be making use of both of those. So we just need one more Mad Party Pokemon in our discard pile if we use Tool Scrapper here to get to remove this big charm. So the Charizard has 170 HP. We'll also use the Roxy to discard our Mewtwo to draw 3 cards. We get a Sinistea, so we don't actually have enough to get a knockout here, but we are going to go in for it anyway. We'll retreat and attach this triple, put down the Sinistea so we can get another Mad Partier on the go. And oh, my bad, we do have enough. I thought we were 1 off, but we have enough for the knockout, 180. So we get the knockout. Thankfully, finally, my opponent doesn't have another Charmander on their board, so hopefully we don't have any problems for a good couple of turns and we're able to get some clean knockouts here. We do have another triple acceleration energy to work with, as well as a Great Ball, and we have our Primate Wisdom, which is seen as doing good so far. My opponent has a couple of Charizard in the discard pile at the moment. They have the 1, as well as being down a couple of Rare Candy is going to be good for us, and those Ordinary Rod. I'm not sure how many Ordinary Rod, they could be playing multiple Ordinary Rod, but looks like they're also playing the Aurora Energy, so they can actually start attacking with this Inteleon. It does 120 damage as well as 20 damage to one of my benched Pokemon. That's certainly going to be problematic. As we can see here, we've discarded our Mew, so we can't actually protect our bench Pokemon at this point. And we're going to be having to take out this Inteleon pretty quickly. My opponent goes for that Aqua Bullet attack, getting the knockout on our active, and putting 20 damage onto the Sinistea as it has the lowest HP. Now I'm going to promote this Bunnelby since we have an air balloon on it already. And we do draw into another Sinistea, which is fair, but we can't really make use of it at the moment since we only have 1 Poltergeist remaining, so it's just going to be best to be getting rid of that Sinistea, unfortunately. We can make use of Great Ball, at least we get into our Poltergeist, exactly what we needed so that we can make use of this triple acceleration energy. We'll retreat here, attach our triple, and use Roxy. We'll be able to draw 3 cards by discarding the Sinistea, as well as Primate Wisdom to put a triple acceleration energy on top of our deck. We get a Mr. Rhyme, so I'm actually going to use Giant Hearth here. We can get rid of Roxy, not grab anything, but it shuffles our deck so that the triple energy isn't there anymore, and using T-Break we'll be able to draw different 2 cards. Use Evolution Incense, grab that last Mr. Rhyme, as well as Mad Party for the knockout. Going up to 220 damage here. We're just going to be looking to get 1 more knockout, and then we can look to use Boss's Orders on that Oricorio. My opponent promotes the Charmander with 2 energy, so they do have the Rare Candy Charizard available to them already, so they'll be able to use that to get a knockout, but they have the Boss's Orders, and that's unfortunately going to be game as they can knock out our Dedenne and get the victory. So unfortunately we're not able to win against another 1 prizer deck, but it was very close, and mainly we had a bunch of bad draws at the start of the game. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like down below and subscribe to see more videos just like this one. I've been Connor, and I'll see you guys in the next video.